What's up, y'all? TBrown31 here with JaboctheGreat. Once again, we're back with another episode of the Last Word podcast. And as you can see by the title, we're moving into NBA discussion for the podcast now. We're getting into, late winter, early spring. We're getting into March Madness coming up in a few weeks. So it's getting to be basketball time, peak basketball season now, coming out of the All-Star break. And that's what we're going to be talking about a lot in this video. There's been a lot of discussion of the All-Star break from this past weekend. Not all of it necessarily great, but one way or the other, we're going to talk about it. So, let's just start. Overall, how are you really feeling about All-Star weekend? I think you caught like a lot more than I did. I really only watched like a couple contests in the first half of the All-Star game, but so I know you got more than I did. But how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I've always kind of enjoyed the NBA All-Star Weekend, definitely a little more than some of the other sports. I'm pretty sure the NHL has a great All-Star Weekend, but I don't watch a lot of hockey in general, so I don't end up tuning into that one. So I'm always excited to see how things will go. There's some highs and lows for this one for sure. I think probably one of the best ones I've witnessed, aside from some of the ones when I was young, was the first one when they did the Kobe format. This one definitely wasn't as good of a weekend as that. There's some issues with the dunk contest, but they did some fun stuff with the 3-point contest. We had the Steph Sabrina thing that I think was really good. We can break that down a little bit, but the skills challenge is something. I think it's fun. I think it's a good concept. I think maybe we could change up the rounds a little bit, add some different events into the skills challenge to make it a little more fun. Last year we've had the Antetokounmpos in the past few skills challenges, and that was entertaining, at least because you have Thanasis doing things on live television. But this one you have Team Pacers, which is Miles Turner, Benedict Mathurin, and of course Tyrese Halliburton. You had the All Stars with Trae Young, Tyrese Maxey, and Scotty Barnes. Then you had the team first picks with Wemby, Ant, and Paolo. And Ant did not seem to care too much about anything. He was shooting with his left. The first picks end up getting 0 points in any game. Pacers and All-Stars end up tying after the All-Stars win the last game. And then they go into a half-court shootout, which I think is a fun way to do a tiebreaker. I think once they announced that's what the tiebreaker was, and I'm looking at this roster, and I see Tyrese Halliburton against like Trae Young and Maxey, I'm like, okay, Halliburton's probably going to hit this. But I think that there's room in the skills challenge to get better, just adding some different things, switching up the passing game a little bit would maybe be nice, so it's not just such a kind of stagnant. We're just passing through these giant open holes and things like that. So I really think the skills challenge has a lot of potential to get better. It definitely was not the worst event of the weekend. I enjoyed it. I had fun. Even watching Ant kind of run around with his left was a fun one at the very least. So I don't know. What did you think about the skills challenge? If you caught it?
Yeah, I did watch the skills challenge because that was first, right? So I mean that was basically 8:00 that, and then 9 for the 3-point, everything. So I think this is one where I think, like you said, she probably change up some of the passing stuff a little bit more. The shooting one, where that one is kind of interesting to me because it's definitely like more of, hey, like how fast can these guys really get together and be coherent as a team? So I get that one. That was kind of cool. The passing one, you might want to figure that one out a little bit more, but nothing like super memorable for me. I think for pretty much myself and everybody, 3-point contest and then Steph and Sabrina are probably the most interesting parts of Saturday nights, Saturday nights, I should say. So Sabrina, she said, look, I absolutely want to shoot from the 3-point line for the NBA. I'm glad she did, because I know there would have been even more discourse about, she didn't even shoot from the 3-point line as Steph did. Like, how can you say she's as good? Steph Curry, for all intents and purposes, is the greatest shooter, 3-point shooter, period, that's ever lived. So, pretty much anybody's going to lose to him. Like, if he's on and he's shooting the way he should, I mean, that's just what's going to happen. And the ball thing, I don't know, Kenny Smith, MB said it was like, yeah, Kenny must have been drinking. I don't know what Kenny was on Saturday. Like, he I don't know what he was on, but he had to chill out. That being said, though, like I don't see what difference. Like, why would you make her use the NBA ball? It doesn't make sense. Like, they use that ball for a reason. The 3-point line, that's more objective, right? Like, because it's literally, if you're shooting from a short distance, like you're probably gonna shoot better. I mean, that's just how it is. So glad she didn't, shoot from a shorter line, shot from the same line he did. And she shot really well. Just Steph shot just a little bit better, caught on at the end. I mean, again, he's the best shooter that's ever lived. So it's not that crazy that it's not a put down moment for her that she lost to him.
3-point contest, I think, is really fun. I think it's really great to see guys, especially like Kat, get involved. Obviously, a previous 3-point champion, was in the Final Four for this one. It was really fun to see guys. One thing I noticed this weekend too is that it's always been there, but I got into like where are they placing their money rack? You know, they get the regular ball, the money ball, and then that starry ball, which is always in the thing. But they get to choose which rack has all 5 money balls. And I was really kind of slowly got more invested in like where they were placing those, because it shows you like where the shooter thinks their hottest point is, and sometimes it shows you that maybe that ain't so true. I don't know. Malik Beasley hit like all of his, they were at the top of the key, but he was just shot too slow, so he didn't make it through the first round. But same thing with like Steph and Sabrina. I mean, Steph had his at the end. I don't think Sabrina's at the end. I think hers was earlier on. Steph was all the way hot when he got to his money rack and drilled every one of them, and that was a big difference maker. So I just think the 3-point contest, I think, is slowly is improving, and was already a pretty good event. I would say for Saturday, I was definitely looking forward to that the most, and I was kind of hoping that it would be last. Both the 3-point contest itself and the Sabrina Steph version, I was hoping they would kind of round out the night with that. Instead, we round out the night with the dunk contest. Had Jaime Jaquez Jr., we had Jacob Toppin, we had Mac McClung, and then we had Jaylen Brown, Mr. In-game dunker, who spent the whole time doing in-game dunks. He dunked over a short little Kai Cenat, who was sitting in a chair, and somehow made it to the final round. Got some weird scoring going on. They changed it from like 1 to 10 to now they're doing it from 40s to 50s, so you get an average of score somewhere between 40 and 50. Mac McClung did like the first original dunk we've seen in a while. Didn't get a 50. He did end up getting a 50 at one point in the dunk contest. It's just, I think we moved beyond the dunk contest. I think Jaylen Brown, I didn't really enjoy his performance in the dunk contest, but he said afterwards that he was like, yeah, I don't think guys want to do it because they don't want to be a meme. And I agree. And I think that's the problem. I think we have too many random dudes doing it. We don't have enough fun stuff. We had people dunking over cars. We had some really crazy stuff, of course, with the Levine and Gordon one. Now we just get somebody's going to dunk over Shaq. Somebody's going to dunk over their friend. And then that's it. One of Jamie's was a good dunk, but all they did was just put the Mexican flag on the ground. Like there was nothing else really going on. It was just like a nice regular dunk where they changed the LED floor to like match to set up some vibes in the arena. I don't know. I think it's a little boring. I think the scoring is super subjective and it ends up causing a lot of issue. I don't think it should be the night ender for sure. And without getting like bigger names in, Matt McClung is starting to become a big name for sure. I mean, everyone loved him last year. This year was okay. He had a really good dunk, but otherwise some of them were kind of mediocre. And then the Jaylen Brown performance was not worthy of being a finale contender, but he got there. I respect Jaylen Brown for doing it though, as the biggest name player in that event that year. I do hope that more big. If we're going to keep the dunk contest going, I think we need a little more players in it that people are going to be super excited to watch dunk, and we got to find more ways to do some creative dunks. Everything Jaylen did, you could do in a game. Obviously, you're not going to have Kai Cenat in a chair in a game, but if you're going to dunk over somebody, there's going to be more resistance than Kai Cenat sitting in a chair. So I don't know. It's interesting contest. I think there's definitely some other things people have been throwing around, the 1v1 tournament, the 2v2 tournament. I think again, guys don't want to be made into memes, but I think those have much more potential to be some Showtime performances than this dunk contest. I think it's just kind of slowly trailed off, and maybe we're a little blinded by nostalgia. Maybe not all the old ones were like the best in the world, but this I wasn't pleased. I was super excited for the 2 3-point contests. I enjoyed them all the way through. The steals challenge, I had fun watching. I don't know. We don't share a whole lot of personal details, but I actually study women's sports at Clemson, so it was fun to watch Steph and Sabrina go at it and see the kind of the fun media, mostly positive media. Kenny Smith, I think you hit the nail on the head with I'm not sure what he was doing. I think if he played basketball, you should be aware that like switching to a different ball is not like it's not gonna help. It would throw him off. If Steph used the women's ball, I think he'd be thrown off. He might not do horrible, but it's still it's a lighter ball. It's gonna be harder to adjust to. Same thing with Sabrina. They're just using the comfortable thing, and she shot from the NBA line, which apparently Kenny had an issue with. I think that was fine. If you watch the WNBA, she's pulling up from NBA range pretty consistently. I think most of the shooters in the WNBA have a pretty good range. So I don't know. I thought Saturday was really fun, except for the dunk contest. I guess that should be my ending point. And I think that Steph Sabrina was a good movement for sports and women's sports in general. Moving forward, I hope we get to see more events like that. People have thrown around the Steph and Dame versus Sabrina and Caitlin Clark. If she decides to go to the WNBA, I don't think they'll bring her in as a college athlete. That's probably illegal somehow. But but I think there's a lot of potential to move forward with the Saturday events. The dunk contest, I'm not seeing many options.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest meme out of that was obviously Jalen jumping over Kai, and it's like, man's already really short. I'm not going to say what Shannon Sharp said about him, but the man's already really short, and Kai is known for being really short. But to have him sit down and then do the dunk over him, like, you had to be like you have to be trolling. Like, he had to be trolling. Like, there's no way. And he did cover the eyes thing, and I'm like, all right, you stop. Like, sure, have fun with it, but I mean, if this is what we've gone down to, let's just call it a day. Like, let's be honest. But like you said, yeah, I mean, the 3-point contest for me, that's probably like the most exciting thing now. And then these little challenges, Steph Sabrina, like that's really a first that we've seen for like an all-star break kind of thing. I mean, everybody's always talking about doing 1v1s and how these guys are going to get their egos bruised and all that crap. So maybe not. Like, I really don't know, to be honest with you, like, because we're going to talk about the all-star game in a second here. People are always talking about how do you fix all-star weekend. I really don't know. Like, if people still tune in, but 90% of people hate it, but they still tune in anyway, I guess they don't really have much incentive to change anything. So, I mean, if people stop watching, sure, but if most people are still going to tune in regardless, I mean, I don't imagine they'll do anything drastic. But maybe seeing the success of what happened, at least with Sabrina and Steph, maybe they'll change things. Now, moving to Friday, though, real quick, I didn't watch anything from Friday, so I'll probably have to defer to you on that one. The main thing for me is seeing Micah Parsons. Respectfully, like, Team Shannon had 100 points. Micah Parsons had darn near 40% of his points. Like, that's and this is my only thing about the celebrity game, right? Because one, they're not getting as many celebrities, at least, popularly known celebrities, I guess, like mainstream guys, because they used to have they had freaking Justin Bieber, before, and how famous he is, right? So not getting as many celebrities that the average person would know. And obviously now, like, for example, Kai, like we would know him because we stay on YouTube a lot, Twitch and all that kind of crap. But like, that's more our generation. Like, he's our age. The average, 30-year-old probably wouldn't know him. And even in the internet age, like, these social media stars, YouTube stars, are not as famous as somebody that's just naturally famous for being a singer, actor, whatever. But my dilemma with that is always like it seems like they get these athletes too, and getting somebody like Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons or CJ Stroud, somebody like that is like a legit athlete. Puka Nacua was in there too. Like, I don't see how that is. It's just a little bit of a weird matchup, I guess, to have people like them in. And then they used to have WNBA players in there too, and it's like they literally play basketball. Like, obviously they don't play against men, but you're playing against men that are not even athletes or not basketball players in the game too. So that was always kind of interesting how they do that. And then streamers, YouTubers, celebrities. So it's always an interesting mashup again. But I don't know, like, having Micah go out there and score 40 points, I mean, it's just kind of funny. Rising Stars, though, I remember, that obviously used to just straight up be like freshmen versus sophomores kind of thing. So I do like, in recent years how they've done like the little team things and all that kind of stuff. But it's not, something that I would sit down and be like, oh, I absolutely have to watch it. But it is at least somewhat innovative.
Yeah, so I didn't get to see much of these either. I do like the new way that we're doing the Rising Stars. I think that's a fun one. I'll do the varsity. I'll start there. We had some fun ways to see rookies play together. They freed Wimby from having to play with Jeremy Sochan, and Wimby actually goes out in the first round, and Jeremy Sochan goes on to win the whole thing, which is very interesting. It's a I don't know. That's an interesting thing. And Wemby's team goes out to probably one of the weaker teams. Not that these guys are weak; they're all good basketball players. But you got teams. Wemby's team has Wemby, Brandon Miller, Triple J, Jabari Smith Jr., Brandon Podziemski. That's a pretty good young starting team. The other team to go out in the first round had Paolo, Jalen Duran, Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, Scoot, Keontae George, all these guys who are like killing it in the NBA. Just kind of got taken out, in the first round. Now that team going down. Goes down to Team Jalen, who ends up winning the whole thing. That has Chad Sochan, Benedict Mathurin, who ends up getting MVP, Derek Lively, Jordan Hawkins, Walker Kessler. Like, there's a lot going on there. But the other one loses is Team Detlef, who's headlined by Mac McClung. Not that he's a bad player, but I think that should be enough on that one. Oscar Shibwe and Matas Buzelis are there as well. Obviously, Matas not in the league yet. G League phenom there. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fun tournament. I think it's interesting that Wemby goes down in the first round, and Jeremy Sochan goes on to win the game. I also saw shots from where Wemby went to like shoot a warm up shot for fun, and Jeremy Sochan came up behind him and blocked him. And somebody tweeted like, "This highest whole purpose is to make Wemby's life horrible." So I thought that's a fun part. Celebrity game, I agree. I think we have some interesting stuff going on as far as what we're considering celebrity. There was like the basketball influencer who does like trick shots was in that game. I don't really know him that well, but he was in there. Kai is there. But if my grandma was to watch that game and be like, "Who's Kai Sinat?" I don't fully know how to explain that to her. Like, I think she's a little disconnected from the world of what you could be a YouTuber. But you get athletes, and they always do. Like WNBA athletes end up going crazy. They had Meta World Peace in this one, which is interesting. They had a bunch of football players, and like I don't know. Obviously, basketball players are probably going to be better at basketball than football. But if you throw like Kai Sinat and Micah Parsons, they were on the same team. But just picture POV, you are like 5'2" Kai Sinat, and you have to guard Micah Parsons. What are you gonna do about that? Like, there's, I don't understand how you're supposed to get around that one. The celebrity game is fun. I caught the end of it. If you try to look up anything about the celebrity game, they pretend it's not real. There's nothing anywhere. But yeah, you get a guy like Micah Parsons come in, put up 40. I think it's fun. I think getting the football players involved is fun, but it is interesting on the way we set up the matchups. Maybe the more interesting thing is that we had Shannon and Stephen A. Coach these teams, and obviously both of them have spent a lot of time debating against Cowboys fans their whole career. And you get players like Micah Parsons, so you then have to roster and coach. I mean, can you just imagine if it was like Stephen A. versus Skip Bayless, and Skip Bayless drafted Micah? Like, it's I think there's possibilities here that maybe should remain untouched, but there is some fun stuff going on as far as that goes. But yeah, celebrity game I think is a fun idea. I've never like woken up on the Friday of All-Star Weekend and been like, oh man, I got to catch the celebrity game tonight. But when I do get to watch some of it, I'm like, yeah, that's fun. It's just there's interesting definitions of like who's a celebrity, who's going to bring in viewers. I'm not sure if they intend for the celebrity game to bring in the most viewers, but I do think doing the Stephen A. Shannon Sharp coaching thing was a good way to do it. Their assistant coaching staff consisted of people like AJ Wilson and Lil Wayne. So I don't know. It almost feels like the coaching staff should have had like a 3-on-3 and just played a quick game or something. I don't know. Fun event. Friday was definitely not bad. There's nothing that happened Friday was worse than the dunk contest. So personally, I'm going to say that nothing that happened throughout the whole weekend was worse than the dunk contest. I think otherwise there's a lot of moments to move from there.